Welcome back to FT Trading Room. Now, a new platform has emerged in London for the trading of OTC derivatives. And it's an unusual one because the banks are not involved at all. With me here to discuss this is Alex Pilato, Chief Executive of TradeRisks, which has set up the platform called TRL Exchange. Welcome, Alex. Now, as everybody's watching the Dodd-Frank reforms and the MEO legislation in Europe, a lot of the banks have been getting involved in some of the creation of the new platforms that will emerge to trade OTC derivatives, so that they still have skin in the game, if you like. Your platform doesn't involve the banks at all. Just explain that.
Yes, that's right. Most all platforms so far involve the banks as market makers to end users. I think the banks have been very successful in persuading the world that the world needs liquidity and extreme liquidity, and that they and only they are able to provide it. Now, we challenge both of those assumptions, and our platform is just a response to the financial crisis, where our clients were unable to find counterparties for genuine hedging transactions.
Your clients then, in other words, the users of this exchange, are who or what?
Are corporates. Our clients are typically corporates, and we looked for the ultimate receivers of fixed rates and inflations, as our clients are the natural pairs, and the natural receivers are, of course, the investors, the pension funds and the insurers.
Now, why don't they need the banks? How can you cut the banks out? How does that work?
Well, the transactions are ultimately transactions between two principals, and banks acting as principals in markets that are intrinsically illiquid do not contribute to liquidity. On the contrary, if banks are making prices on the basis that the prices are so good for them that they'll be able to exit the position of the profit sooner or later, that does not contribute to the liquidity. On the contrary, if users believe that they're going to be ripped off in transacting through these markets, they will stay out of the markets. So by enabling end users to transact with each other, and by seeing the levels at which these transactions take place, this attracts more participants.
So is the idea that, I mean, there was a lot of lobbying in the run-up to the Dodd-Frank Act and also the MEO legislation on the part of corporates, airlines, industrial companies, particularly from Germany actually, and also the pension funds as well, the buy side, saying, don't suck us into the clearing mandate. It's going to cost us more to use to push OTC derivatives through clearing. Please, give us some exemptions. Is it born essentially out of this idea that corporates and the buy side felt that they were being unfairly swept into this new cost environment, which is what this new market structure will effectively impose on people?
No, I think it really precedes that. I think the concept of end users transacting with each other precedes that, and it's really the immediate reaction of the crisis. I think what we are seeing now is a lot of the debate is about details of these platforms, and these details, they still tend to involve the banks as market makers, and few people seem to think that they are third ways.
Right. So yours is a third way. So in other words,
yes.
You don't need the banks as market makers, is what you're saying.
That's correct.
So how does it actually work? I mean, let's say, you're a corporate, I'm a pension fund. How does it work?
Well, you need somebody that facilitates that communication between the two principals, and somebody that facilitates those negotiations. But once that facilitator has done his job, you have two principals transacting with each other, and the facilitator can disappear, and you'll still have that transaction.
The facilitator being you, the exchange sitting in the middle.
Yes, that's correct.
What about clearing?
Well, you don't need it, because you've got the two principals transacting with each other. The facilitator can disappear, you still have the transaction. So no systemic risk is created through this process.
Right. Final question, when do you launch?
We believe in 3 months we'll be ready for the final launch and for the final transactions, for the first transactions with the funds.
All right, thank you. We'd like to catch up with you when you do. Okay. Thank you very much.